Hello, everyone. Today I wanted to talk a bit about the famous novel The Handmaid's Tale, which has been made into a movie and now into a mini series. This book was, I think it was released initially in the '80s, if I'm not mistaken. I know that I read it in the '80s. I think it was part of some class I was taking, some college class. Um, and I've always enjoyed dystopian literature. So, it caught my imagination. I was well aware that it was a book written by a feminist with feminist themes and so forth. But I still found it interesting, and still kind of find it interesting today. But what's in spite of the fact that it's become, in spite of what it has become, in spite of the way in which it has been relentlessly fetishized by certain groups, um, who honestly think that if the person who gets elected isn't the one that they want to see elected, that means we're heading into the Republic of Gilead. I mean, this kind of, um, just this absolutely twisted mindset, this this uh, this absence of proportion. Um, you would call it an indulgence in hyperbole, but to them, it's not even hyperbole. To them, it's like, oh no, this is real. This is real. It's about to be the Republic of Gilead. Um, I've got nothing to really to say to that whole thing. I'm not. I mean, except to say it's balls. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. And get a grip. But of course, they're not going to. So what is there to with that with that established? What is there really even to talk about here? But I do want to talk a little bit more about The Handmaid's Tale. Um, because it just struck me recently. There's a way of looking at this book, the storyline of the book, and it this is probably something that has occurred to people before. I am often late to the party. That you can even that could be my middle name, Andy, late to the party, Nowicki. I'm I'm not really on top of things as far as cultural trends or stuff like that. But I just had this breakthrough this afternoon where I was thinking about The Handmaid's Tale, and I'm not patenting this as this is my analysis or anything like that, because I'm guessing this is probably something others have noticed before me, because it's so obvious. It's so wildly, crazily obvious that The Handmaid's Tale is essentially a a kinky romance novel. It really, truly, honestly is. Now, romance novels, of course, are written for women nearly exclusively, um, and there are certain themes that keep cropping up. There are certain, there's a formula to it. Uh, um, I don't need to go into a dissertation about that, but it is true that the romance novel is geared towards women. Now, the woman who would read The Handmaid's Tale is, of course, not the typical reader of romance novels. Or if the typical reader, the demographic that the Handmaid's Tale is shooting for, as far as readership goes, if that reader was to actually read a romance novel, she would be incredibly embarrassed to do so, because the typical reader of The Handmaid's Tale is a woman who thinks of herself as educated and sophisticated and enlightened and feminist. And most romance novels are not, are not seen as being any of those things. I don't want to broadly speak about romance novels generally because I don't know enough. But what I do know is that you notice that certain things keep cropping up over and over again. Now, as far as when you started to have these dystopian novels that were written for girls, which was an interesting shift. I guess that girls just tend to read more these days. I don't know exactly what it is, or why this happened, market wise or propaganda wise. I don't know if it originated with them going for trying to hit a certain demographic in the market, or if it originated with out of an interest in communicating some piece of propaganda. I think plenty in the entertainment industry, and that includes the book publishing industry. There's plenty that goes both ways. It's not all about let's just appeal to the audience, pander to what they want in order to make a lot of money. There is that, but there is also let's try to get the audience to be the way we want them to be, because we're also social engineers, or we're social programmers. That's also a part of the power that's behind us. So I think one would be foolish to discount either side of the coin as far as that goes. So with these young adult dystopian novels, beginning with The Hunger Games, that being the most famous example, what you have, and this formula gets repeated over and over again. I think you could even apply this formula to the Twilight series, although that's not dystopian themed novels, but it's sort of in the same ballpark. It's definitely going for the same readership, young girls. And what you have in all of these books, nearly all of them, you have a stunning and brave heroine, and she's the sort of, I'm not going to say she's a Mary Sue. I'm not going to insult all of these writers in that way, because I think Katniss Everdeen is a fleshed out character from what I can tell. And I enjoyed the Hunger Games movies and some of the other movies, but what you do see, what I mean is some of the other movies of this type, what you do see repeated over and over again is that the heroine, faces all kinds of obstacles. There's all kinds of things that she goes through, and she emerges eventually victorious, but she has to struggle to get there. It's through the hero's journey. But one of the things that keeps coming up over and over again in these books, and this applies definitely to Twilight and definitely to the Hunger Games, and I don't think those are the only two examples, is the heroine has two male leads, two leading guys, two leading men, both of whom are interested in her. And so a love triangle develops between these three. That seems to be a part of what is really, what really pulls the female reader in, is this love triangle aspect. And I'm just mentioning this as a preamble to talking about The Handmaid's Tale, because like The Handmaid's Tale, there are other there are actually several similarities. The Handmaid's Tale is a sci-fi dystopian novel set in the near future with a female main character, and so the same is true for the Hunger Games, and I guess Twilight is different. It's about vampires and werewolves and all that crap. But anyway, all of these the readership, the audience is female. That's who they're going for. Now, the readers of the readers of The Handmaid's Tale would not like to think of themselves as being a demographic that is being written for, because again, these are sophisticated women. These are feminists, college educated. These are women who, they see through all the formulas that are the standard ways in which the corporate media tries to sell to women. They see beyond that, and they're their own. They're independent. Of course, they have their own. They resist the conformity or this is how they flatter themselves anyway. They resist the conformity that would mark the typical readers of, say, the Twilight series. But when you think about the actual plot of The Handmaid's Tale, it's very interesting how many points are hit. And I'm trying to talk about this non-judgmentally, okay? Of course, I have my own beliefs and opinions about things, and if you watch this channel, you know that. But I just want to analyze this. I want to analyze or talk about how The Handmaid's Tale is essentially a romance novel, a kinky romance novel, but still meant to appeal to certain primal desires and instincts and various things that women find appealing. So when Margaret Atwood wrote this novel, maybe she was thinking this, or maybe she was maybe she had no idea about marketing, or no idea about what kind what her audience would want to read, but just wrote a story that was important to her, that said important things about where she feared society was headed, or whatever. But in any case, what she ended up writing, this novel she ended up writing, it's very interesting when you look at it a certain way, just how much it fulfills this formula. All right, so what do you have in The Handmaid's Tale? I'm going by memory, but I think I can remember it pretty well. There's this revolution that takes place in the near future, this sort of a conservative revolution, where powerful men take over, and the church, there's like a church that's established, it's a theocratic state, and women must be subservient, but here's an important aspect to this whole future. There's been some kind of catastrophe. I don't know if it was, I don't remember whether there was a nuclear war or if there was some kind of environmental catastrophe that happened. In any case, something happened which caused mass infertility. And so the vast majority of women cannot bear children anymore. But for a certain small number of women, they're still fertile. They can still get pregnant. And so I think that this change, that change in society was really the biggest catalyst towards this revolution taking place, which brought about the Republic of Gilead, which used to be the United States of America, but it's this takeover, this coup, and so what happens? The hero is this woman who gets to be known as of Fred, because she's one of the women who is still able to get pregnant. And if you are a woman like that, and it's found that your womb can still bear children, then you are rounded up and you are farmed out to families, to couples, where the man is somebody really powerful within the regime, right? So they're the ones who have first dibs on these pregnant ladies, because they're the ones who want to carry on, who want to see their seed passed on, and their own wives are infertile. So so anyway, so that happens, and then you become, if you were one of these women, your name becomes of, and then the name of the man who you belong to now, whose handmaid you are, and who you've been assigned to bring forth his children. And so the guy that she's assigned to, his first name is Fred, so she becomes of Fred, and she has friends who are of George or of Richard or whatever, that she sometimes takes walks with, and they have discussions, and they're in their red, they're nun-like uniforms, but with the cowl and everything, but they're red, denoting their fertility. Okay, and so here's you think, okay, this is really a dystopian world. Who would want to live in this world if you're a woman? Okay, and yes, it is dystopian. It is brutal. It is harsh. But think about it. Think about it from the point of view of the reader. The reader is, again, somebody who is likely to be a woman and likes to think of herself as, a cut above, as somebody who isn't buying into all the patriarchal bullshit. And so, the reader, relates to of Fred, the heroine, the main character. And in the book, she is a cut above, both in the sense that before the revolution, she was a really cool chick, and she believed in all the progressive stuff, and she was a feminist and all that. But now she's in this privileged position in society, even though she's being oppressed in this way, of being farmed out to this rich couple and forced to bear his children. She's still special. So women, a woman reader, let's just say, wants to feel special, wants to relate to a character that is, cool and correct and does all the right, has done all the right things, believes in all the right ways. So she's a perfect stand-in for her. But she's also got this edge over the rest of the women around her, which is that she can get pregnant. Well, most women can't. And then she's assigned to this family, and the women love to, I'm trying to just be descriptive here and not be too much of a wise ass, but let's just say, if you're this particular type of reader, and you read about the woman that you relate to being forced to join, to become a part of this family as this handmaiden, just a broodmare for them, and that this guy's bitch wife hates your guts, but you but you can lord it over her by saying, well, I mean, not really, not you don't say it overtly, but you don't have to, because she knows that you're better than her, because you can bear children, she can't. And so that that appeals. I think it's easy to see how that appeals to who the standard reader of this novel would be. The standard reader of this novel likes to think of herself as a cut above, as special, as not buying into propaganda. And now she's in the situation where she's she's locking horns with this woman who hates her because of the situation that she's been forced into. And so you're a woman, you think of some other woman who has wronged you, or you think of some bitch teacher that you had, or some bitch friend, who stole your boyfriend, or something like that. You could make this woman anyone you want in your mind, and then just think to yourself, oh well, guess she thinks she's superior, but I'm the one with the fertile womb, not her. Which is ironic that a feminist reader would value herself, if she's reading herself into this character, in this way. I can't think of the word right now, but it's just where you absolutely relate to what the character is, what's happening with her, and you put yourself in this character's position, and flatter yourself in thinking of yourself as somebody who's so poised and brave, but also she's got this advantage, and she knows that makes this other woman go nuts. And if feminists don't like to think of themselves as being angry with other women, but I mean, it's there. It's a primal thing. Cat fights are a pretty primal thing. And now here's where it gets even more, to me, interesting and even more provocative. This woman is, so what comes out is that she's being forced to take part in these ceremonies, which is when Fred is fertile, then she has to go to the bedroom of the couple that she's serving, and she has to, and they like say some kind of prayer, they do some kind of stuff, and then the wife holds her hands while the guy has intercourse with her in the presence of the wife. So it's kind of like he's having sex with her, but he's not supposed to be looking at her. He's just doing the mechanical thing, but still looking at his wife, who's holding her hands and sitting behind her. So it's this very weird ceremony. Now, where in the world, like, if you are, say you're a woman and you're a feminist and you want to write a dystopian book about a future in which there's a theocratic patriarchy, and that women are held under with an iron fist, and all of their rights are taken away, and all of that. Where does this idea come from that you that you have them engage in this kind of quote ceremony, as it's called? There's definitely I mean, hate me for saying this if you want, if anybody's watching this that would be inclined to hate, then hate away. I'm saying there's a kink element involved there. It sounds horrible. It sounds like a horrific thing. It sounds like something that's just an awful and embarrassing thing to have to be forced into. But I mean, it's also like, what's happening here? The heroine who you're relating to is good enough to be, one of the special ones. And she's getting this attention from this rich and powerful man while still being a feminist all the time. And, she's doing it because she's being forced into doing it, of course. But the reader knows that while this is happening, as demeaning, as degrading as the act may be, that it still ends up being, something where the guy's wife is being forced to see her get it from her husband, take her husband's sperm and maybe do something with it that she can't do with it, which is conceive. And so I think there is definitely a kink element there, because this whole idea of creating a patriarchal dystopia, why have that happen? Why not have it be just like something like what Saudi Arabia is like, or what Iran is like, or where a man can just, your father sells you to some man in his 60s, and when you're like 12 or whatever, and then you become part of a harem, and if the kind of stuff that is actually true to life. Well, that stuff isn't very sexy, and it's not. There's not really much of a kink there. It's just kind of depressing. But being in this situation where you are the special one, you are the one who's really actually treasured by the rich and powerful guy, while he just puts up with his bitch wife, who's fuming all this while, having to deal with this humiliation. That's a power fantasy for a woman, ironically. Because it seems like, because while she is being degraded during these ceremonies, she is the one who's being prized. She is the one who's got the capacity to deliver the goods. She's got this component that makes her special. And women like to feel special. I mean, we all do. But women, even feminist women, want to feel special. And this book, and then the movie, which follows the same storyline as the book, gives them this opportunity to feel special. Now, we also, again, the plot thickens because Fred, who's in the movie, he's played by Robert Duvall. Now, if this had been 70s Robert Duvall, if this had been Colonel Kilgore Robert Duvall, then maybe, he could be seen as a sexy sort of, masculine guy. In the 90s, he's just sort of this doughy, aging, bald man. I don't know if he's got that much appeal, other than just, from a woman's point of view, other than the fact that he's very powerful. But we do find out that he likes her. He doesn't just want to engage in these ceremonies with her. He takes her away to these, unbeknownst to the wife, he takes her away to these parties where they have sex. It's not supposed to be, these kinds of things aren't supposed to be happening, but they are, and nobody does anything about them, because it's a man's world, baby. So Fred takes accompanies the husband to these forbidden occasions where they have sex in a more normal way, and she doesn't enjoy it that much, but again, it's a chance to feel treasured, and to know that powerful men want you, and it's not just a mechanical thing. It's not just something that they're being forced into do. This guy actually likes her, and wants to get her to like him. And so that's kind of a power trip for the woman, the woman reader. And then the coup de grace is, of course, that we find out that the husband, his sperm isn't popping, so it's not working with him. The wife knows this because she's sneaky, cunning, and conniving, but the guy doesn't know this because he's a man. He's clueless. So the wife arranges a way in which of Fred, the heroine of the book, can get impregnated by this hunky gardener. This is real. This is real. This is absolutely true. So she knows that the hunky gardener has got his sperm is working. I don't know how she finds that out, but or how she knows that. But then she because she's mad at her husband for taking Fred away to these parties and having sex with him in the forbidden way that doesn't involve the weird kinky ceremony, the weird three-way ceremony, because he's gone off and started to do that. She's getting revenge on him by sending Fred to go visit the hunky gardener, and they have sex, and it's good, and she likes the gardener guy, and the gardener guy likes her, so they find true love. And of course, the gardener guy, I think, he's enlightened. I think he's not one of these creeps. He's not, he sees that the world has gone mad, and he respects women and all of that. But he's still masculine and hunky and stuff. So best of both worlds. And that's who she gets pregnant with. And then, if I'm remembering correctly, she runs away with him, or tries to get away, and tries to escape out of the Republic of Gilead into the freedom of Canada, the free country of Canada. Imagine that. That's the wildest idea, that you'd go to Canada to find your freedom. But that's the most science fiction element of it, that doesn't really stand up over time. Well, so there you go. I mean, so many ways, so many boxes that this book, and then the movie that's made after it, and then the mini series that was made more recently. So many boxes that they tick, So this is a romance novel for women who think of themselves as better than, or smarter than romance, the kind of stupid women who read romance novels. They would think, oh, a woman who reads romance novels probably voted for Trump. But I'm not like that. I'm better than that. But deep down, of course, we all want some of the same things. And we all want to be flattered. We all want to have our egos appealed to. And there you go. So that's my analysis of The Handmaid's Tale, and how it ultimately is little more than a kinky, dystopian-themed romance novel. So come at me. Am I wrong? Come at me.